Welcome to the Fire and Earth podcast with your hosts, Jason Mefford and Kathy Gruber. Fire and Earth, giving you the keys to unlock your limitless potential.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Fire and Earth podcast. I'm your co-host, Kathy Gruber.
You're Kathy Gruber? I thought I was Kathy Gruber today.
No, I'm going to be Kathy today.
Okay, I'll be Jason Mefford.
Why don't you be? No, you should be Jason today.
I should be Jason today. Well, but today we were going to talk about trying new things.
That's
right?
true.
So, but okay, I'll be Jason today. So
you could be Jason doing new things.
I'm going to be Jason doing new things because this is a new podcast episode that we've never done before, right?
That is true.
Ooh, all right. Well, I know that, a lot of people, you feel like you're on a hamster wheel, right? You feel like you're just doing the same thing every single day, right? You go to sleep, you get up, you go to work, you come home, you ate dinner, you go to bed, you get up, you go to work, right? And a lot of us feel like we're just kind of stuck on that. And so we want to talk about trying to incorporate some new things in your life. So, Kathy, why should we do that? Why should we try to incorporate some new things in our life? What's wrong with just our normal routine every single day?
Frankly, for a lot of people, they're totally fine with that new routine all day long. They're totally fine with doing the job, coming home, eating dinner, watching Netflix, having their glass of wine, and going to bed. And that's totally okay for them. But here's the thing, our brain, we learned maybe a decade or so ago that we don't fully form our brain by the time we're 20. Thank God, right? Because it was a good year, but boy, I'm so glad we moved past that. So we've got neuroplasticity, right? So we have the ability to expand our brain. And I always butcher this quote, and I don't remember who said it, but something to the effect of, once you stretch your brain through knowledge, it can't shrink again. It's going to keep expanding. And the reason this topic popped in is, we've talked before, I do flying trapeze, and I started doing aerial silks, the big fabrics that hang down.
Yeah.
And it's so challenging, and it's luckily I'm bendy and I'm pretty strong, so it's been really fun, and it's been not easy for me, but I think I have an advantage over like other brand new people because of a little bit of air awareness. But it was funny because I was talking to one of the girls who's been in my class pretty much every week, and on the second or third class she said, "Oh, well, you do trapeze, so I'm sure there's a lot of transferable skills." And I said, "Yeah, none." Hardly any, because trapeze, you're holding onto a hard bar like this. Silks is like this. I got a cat. Yes, Alistair, what do you want to say? Meow. Meow. And she said, "Oh, well, but how cool that you're doing something new, that you're challenging yourself with something you've never done before. Isn't that exciting?" And I was like, yeah, it actually really is, because I'm not only challenging my body, I'm challenging my mind, my physical stamina, all this stuff that I don't see a lot of people doing. They don't want to push themselves outside their comfort zone. And to me, my motto since high school is go for it. I'm a total risk taker. I'm an adventure junkie. To me, it's like, we don't know when our time on this planet is done. It's a very exciting place to be. Why would I not want to live every minute of it to its fullest and experience these things and stretch myself and try that food and meet that person and have that adventure? And so to me, I think it just makes life fuller and richer, and it expands our brain, and it gives us usable skills for other things. Everything to me is a metaphor. So things that I'm learning in trapeze and silks helps me translate into usable skills into my everyday life.
Well, I think it's interesting too, because, especially the last few years with the lockdowns and the virus and all that stuff. I mean, we got into some very serious routines. A lot of the stuff just really kind of dropped off, maybe, that we were doing before too. And I know, I've noticed this with, my wife and I. It's like, we just weren't doing anything, right? I mean, I would sometimes go a week without even leaving my house, right? Because I work from home.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is, a lot of times with that routine, it starts to get boring, right? And then you start to feel boring. And even, a lot of times the relationships that you're in can start to feel boring, right? I mean, that's why the whole idea, like with sex play and some other stuff, right? Spice it up, right?
Yeah.
Do something
Newness.
a little newness, a little bit something different, right? But also that it doing some things that are new or that are different also kind of gives us something to look forward to, right? And
Yeah.
so we decided this a couple months ago. We've started to, make sure that once or twice a month at least, we're actually going and doing something different. I mean, it's not, it's like we've gone to plays before, but we've never been to that play, right? So now that live entertainment is on more, we're making sure that we're booking some things out. So we've got a couple of plays that we're going to in the next couple of months. Some different, going to another baseball game, doing some other things, but actually putting things on the calendar so that they're not necessarily new things. Like I've gone to hundreds and hundreds of baseball games, but it's again something that's a little bit out of the normal weekly routine that we have to look forward to, that's a little bit different. And sometimes just that change in perspective, the other things, I know we've seen our relationship has gotten stronger again, again by doing that as well.
Oh, sure.
Because we're consciously spending more time with each other, doing different things together.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing it does, I mean, we've all seen that couple sitting in the restaurant, right? And they're in their 80s and he's reading the paper and she's reading her book or doing her crossword puzzle, and they don't say a word to each other. And there's a certain comfort in that. And then you also see those couples who are just like, they have nothing to say to each other. They're not comfortable in that silence. They're like, oh my God, this is the most boring thing ever. If you don't ever do anything new, what are you talking about? Like, first of all, I've met incredible people by doing something new. By talking to strangers. I'm a huge fan of talking to strangers. I've made friends with people in that silks class. I've made friends with people in my new yoga class, and as an adult, it's so hard to make friends. And I love texting my partner and going, I made a new friend today. And then I get to foster that relationship. And then he and I get to talk about, who did you meet and what did you do today? And, it gives a spark to having that newness. And for people who are serial monogamists who get like 3 to 6 months into a relationship and they're like, I'm done, they're looking for that newness. They love that discovery, that adventure, that chase. If you find stuff outside of the relationship that is new, that is exciting, that you can keep sharing and talking about, then to me it just enriches all your relationships too.
Well, and the sharing part of it, I think, is important too, right? Because like you said, it gives you something to talk about with people who you're in relationships with, whether that's a partner, whether that's friends, acquaintances, other people, right? Is that it actually gives you something to talk about, something to connect with them about, and something to learn.
Yeah.
Right. That goes back to some of that curiosity and things that we've talked about before too, of, are you kind of biding your time in life, or are you actually living?
Yeah.
Right. Which again, trying some new things, doing some things that are different is more living, right? Because like you said, we don't know how long we have here on this planet. Tomorrow might be my last day. Today might be my last day. Now I'm planning to live for quite a few more years. But when you change your perspective and start thinking in ways like, what if I only had 2 weeks left to live? Would I do things different? Would I try new things? Would I go and learn how to do the silk stuff that I've always kind of wanted to do? Would you pick up a paintbrush and start painting? Would you, choose to go and visit someplace in the world that you've always wanted to go? Right. And start to include some of those things and make your life a lot more fun instead of just being on the boring hamster wheel that we tend to get onto when we adult.
Well, and how often do we, I'm not a huge fan of bucket lists because I think people write stuff down in a moment of inspiration and they stick it in a drawer and they never do it. Right. And they get to the end of their life and they go, oh, I guess I'm not going to get to do that thing. Or they, tragically end up with cancer young or something that stops their life from continuing on. And they realize they didn't do 90% of the stuff that's on their list. So every year I think of, what are 3 new things that I've never done that I want to try this year? What is something new that I want to try this month? What is, I condense it down of where do I want to travel? I have a list of where I want to travel to, what I want to see. And I have a yearly list of new things to try. We're heading to an escape room in a couple of weeks. I've never done an escape room. I've always wanted to do an escape room. What the hell am I waiting for? It's $40. It's not the trip around the world. That might have to wait till I have more time and money. But the escape room, I can go do that. Renting a jet ski, I can go do that. And I want to do it while my body still works, right? I don't want to wait till I'm 80 and I can't hold on to the jet ski anymore. So like take advantage of the time that you have right now. If there's something you want to do, go for it. Go do that thing.
Yeah, because I mean, personal experience for me, that I learned, my mother was that way. It's like we work hard when I retire, when I retire, when I retire, right? She kept saying that her whole life. And so she worked hard and she retired and she got cancer.
Yeah.
Right. And so she retired, and for the next 5 years of her life before she transitioned on, she had cancer. And so again, there were certain things that she kept putting off and putting off and putting off that she never got to do. My parents did take one big trip that she wanted to take, that she'd been looking for her whole life, but she kind of missed out on because she kept pushing everything further out.
Yeah.
And so, again, it's like, so that's why I try to do this more too, of I don't want to wait, right? I want to experience some of these things now while I'm healthy, while all my faculties are together, instead of trying to wait, because we don't know whether we're going to have that time later on.
Yep. Or be physical able. I've got one of my best friends, Dawn. She does these crazy adventure trips. She goes to like places like Djibouti and like these teeny little, very dangerous islands where she'll like backpack for 3 weeks, and then she scuba dives, and and she was very clear that she's in her late 30s, I guess she just turned 40. And she said, Kathy, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to do this kind of travel. I don't know that I'm going to be able to scale mountains and get in the water and do this kind of scuba trip. She says, so I want to get this done now. Like, I want to do it while I know my body will let me do it. She says, and the cruises and the planned vacation, that kind of stuff, I could do that later. She said, but now, while I know my body is strong and young to do this, I want to do it now. I said, good for you. I mean, that makes perfect sense. Why are we putting this stuff off? It expands our present, and, it helps us move into the future too.
Well, and I think too, like you said, it gives us something to look forward to, because I think a lot of times, in our life, there's a lot of drudgery sometimes in life, of having to go to work and having to pay your taxes and, I got to renew my license, right? But even having one little thing that you're looking forward to helps give you some hope, right, of what is to come. And I think if nothing else, that's a huge thing, because we all need hope. We all need to feel hopeful for something.
Mood elevator.
It's a mood elevator, and it gets us looking forward to something, which is huge, right, in our emotional well-being.
Yeah. I just have to say, before we close, I had a client who, when she passed away, she was 105. And I saw her every week for 10 years doing a massage for her. And I showed up one day and she was a spitfire. I mean, like, she was still driving up until she was like 97. She traveled still. She got on like Zoom calls with kids around the world and talked to them about the Depression and World War I and II. And I mean, like, she lived through so much. And I showed up one day and I said, hey, how you doing? She goes, if I have to take one more fucking shower. Because imagine, like, I'm tired of taking showers now. Can you imagine 105 years of showers? She was so tired of getting up and taking a shower. She's like, I just can't do it today. I just can't. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, well, it's not like you just ran a marathon. You probably don't smell. I think we're going to get through the massage. You'll be okay. But that was just her. She was just like, she was so tired of that kind of drudgery. And she lived such an incredible life. She had so many travel stories and so much adventure, and she's one of my heroes. To get to 105, she had a 95-year-old husband, so she was she was like the first cougar. And
older women.
Thank you. Right. Yeah, she was amazing. So anyway, but yeah, so it's like, get out of the drudgery, go travel, go try something new, whether it's driving a different way to work or sitting at a different spot in the restaurant. Go to a new restaurant, whatever is going to shake.
Order something different off the menu that you've never ordered before.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, a testament to your client, right? I mean, probably one of the reasons why she lived to be 105 is because she was doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So.
Yay to Alice. All right. I'm Kathy Gruber. I can be reached at kathygruber.com.
And I'm Jason Mefford. I can be reached at jasonmefford.com. So this week, pick one new thing that you wanted to try, that you think you might want to do. Just go try one new thing this week, and then next week pick another one. With that, have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Fire Earth Podcast. See ya.
See ya.